he says, you kept trying to do things that were helpful for you. I'm going to give him Reiki. I'm going to talk to organ donors. I'm going to do whatever I can to help Nicholas and also allow him to help other people, because this is the kind of guy Nicholas was. He was a smart guy. And even with his surgeries, I don't feel like he let that affect him in his life. Like, he didn't talk about, I had these surgeries. He reminds me of my brother that had open heart surgery a couple of times, and he doesn't look or act like he ever would have had these surgeries. And I feel like that's with Nicholas. Like, he just pursued life, lived it to the fullest. He is apologizing to you, though. He says, I really didn't think that having fun was going to do this to me. You and me, chasing down forever after. Hello, and welcome to Grieving to Believing. I'm Deb Sheppard. There is no greater loss than that of a child, no matter the age or the circumstances. My mission is to bring parents peace. My intention is to allow them to know that their children are still giving them messages from the other side. Besides knowing I'm going to be speaking to a mother or father, I do not know who I'm going to be reading for today. So let's get started. Your heart feels so heavy. So has this been a recent passing for you?
Fairly. I mean, he passed away in January of 2020.
That's very soon. It just feels like it just happened yesterday, which I'm so sorry. So
Yeah.
the feeling I get is that you're still in that huge healing process of trying to figure out everything. And you mentioned a son. What's his first name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas? Okay. He said he wasn't always called Nicholas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Nick or Nicholas.
Was his death unexpected for you guys?
Yes.
Okay, and boy, what he is just full of life. I feel like when he walked in a room, everyone knew his presence, or he's feeling like he could fill up the room and knew everybody. Does that make sense?
Yes,
There's a
yes.
sense of community and friends and just the love of everybody. And I feel like people went to him because he was kind of a go-to kind of guy. He was the person that people relied on or knew that he'd be back them up. Smart. Nicholas feels very smart. He's telling me, though, I didn't always apply myself, but that's most of us, right? Was he really kind of athletic as well? Outgoing?
Yeah. Yes,
Because,
very, very.
yeah, I feel like this is a kid that looks like, a perfect picture of health. No holds barred. I just feel like he was that person that just did what he could and enjoyed life. He's also telling me he loved food.
Yes.
So, did he like Chipotle? I know that seems kind of odd, but is there a sense to Mexican food or Chipotle? Okay, because he's giving me this sense of like, oh yeah, let's go to Chipotle. Let me go with Mexican food. I love food. This was something that was very important. Did you have a thought to share?
Yes, because when it first came out, I mispronounced it and he made fun of me for it. I called it Chipotle.
Okay, so then again, this is
Mom.
This is Nick's personality of like, Mom, really, that was even something we joked about.
Yes.
I also feel that Nick felt this shouldn't have happened. I feel like there's some complications or some things that should have been done differently. So, if doctors or what was going on in his life, he's not giving me great detail, except that this happened, things weren't done right, and it took his life, is what he's telling me too. He's sharing with me, I will tell you, I just love this kid's energy, and I'm sure you miss him. He is a kid that had a lot of confidence. I'm seeing when I get this, it's like, yeah, I was pretty cool. I was pretty good looking. I pretty much, nailed everything. But also was not a mean person. He was kind to people, even though he felt very blessed in his own way. He never felt like he was mean to other people or judged them or could be difficult. Were there complications for him too? Were they giving, it was like there was surgery or procedure and there was complications happening with him? Okay.
Yeah.
And you can tell me in a minute. How old was Nicholas when he passed?
19.
Oh, way too young. Okay. I'm like, this kid's energy, if I was in high school with him, I would have thought he was the cat's meow, but I've been too afraid to go talk to him because he was really this, he could have been, the number one guy at high school, sort of feeling. But I feel that something that was supposed to be easy went south. Does that make any sense? Like a
Something,
procedure. Like if you were supposed to have a surgery, you're supposed to have something down there going, we got this, it's not a big deal. But I feel like it either bled out or there was a complication. Does that make sense?
with his, there, you mean when he passed?
Yes.
What happened was he passed out with friends and he overdosed, and they didn't call the ambulance right away. The kids that he were with were scared.
Okay, hold on just a second here. So it wasn't a medical community that did something wrong. You feel it was the friends that he was with did something wrong.
Well, yes, but when he was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, and he had 3 open heart surgeries in order to survive. So that's where the heart stuff is coming, and he had a fully functional right ventricle.
Okay.
So but when something was he was on life support for 3 days, and then
let's go there. Okay. So so something simple, again, I'm going to go back to that, is I'm just taking some drugs. It shouldn't be a big deal. And it went south.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
meaning that it affected him more than maybe it affected other kids. They didn't follow through what they were supposed to do. And then it kept creating these complications. So in his mind, it's like not a big deal to try these things and being with friends, because I see him being this great friend with everybody. And I also don't feel like Nicholas would have taken extra risk. This feels like something we're just doing as a bunch of friends. But he's telling me no more could have been done, but everyone tried to do what they could to keep him here. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So when he was on life support, did they look at other alternatives?
No, because he wasn't showing any brain. He was showing very little brain activity when he was on life support. And I was starting to do Reiki on him, and I noticed a change in his brain pattern. And a nurse said, "Oh, well, that's just it's picking up on it's feedback." And I allowed her to shut me down. And
Okay.
I was in such a fog that I didn't
Doing
pray over him. I didn't pray over him. I didn't we prayed prayers over him, but I didn't really try and seriously give him a full force energetic. I was in such shock that I couldn't.
Absolutely. I mean, this is your child. This is Nick. I think he's talking about you trying to do other things, because I keep seeing other things trying to be done. So if you were doing Reiki, if you were doing energy work, and a nurse told you not to, if you're carrying any guilt about that, or you're holding on to anything, what he's saying is don't hold on to that. So if he's bringing up more tried to be done, you try to do more, but then you listen to her, he's letting you know it's not your fault.
Okay.
Because nothing else could have been done. But he's also saying, did you try to donate some of his organs?
Yeah, I asked why no one from organ donation was approaching us, and I asked them to get in touch, and they wouldn't. Like, nobody came to see us.
He just feels like everything got shut down. Here you are, again, trying, and I thought it was the medical community, but he says you kept trying to do things that were helpful for you. I'm going to give him Reiki. I'm going to talk to organ donors. I'm going to do whatever I can to help Nicholas, and also allow him to help other people, because this is the kind of guy Nicholas was. He was a smart guy. And even with his surgeries, I don't feel like he let that affect him in his life. Like, he didn't talk about, I had these surgeries. He reminds me of my brother that had open heart surgery a couple of times, and he doesn't look or act like he ever would have had these surgeries. And I feel like that's with Nicholas. Like, he just pursued life, lived it to the fullest.
My son Nicholas passed away in January 2020 from an overdose. He was on life support for 3 days, and then his heart stopped, and then he passed away.
He is apologizing to you, though. He says, I really didn't think that having fun was going to do this to me. And I'm so sorry, because he says that you kept saying to him, be smart, don't do these things, that you were an advocate about what he needed to do for himself. He says that he didn't always listen. And I also feel like the drugs that they gave him didn't have everything in it that he knew. Like there was things in it that he didn't recognize. And also because of his heart and his health, it went right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's also showing me not having oxygen to the brain for too long. Was also another issue.
Yeah, he was down for a while before they called, and they didn't even start calling the ambulance until his lips turned blue.
He says it was at least 30 to 45 minutes. That
Yeah.
they were really hopeful. And unfortunately, he's saying no one was really, there's no fingers pointed because he took this on his own, that there was no punishment for anybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
He says, I knew better, Mom, but I was just being part of the gang. Was he away at school or away? Because he feels like he's not at home.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was in a he had just moved into a different apartment, and it was a bad situation, and I hadn't he didn't want me to come and visit.
Okay.
It was it was a difficult situation. It was a really difficult situation.
100%. The feeling I get from Nicholas is that he was overall a really good kid. I just feel like he was having some experiences in life as you grow up. You try things and thinking that you're, there's nothing's going to happen to you. And I feel like that's what he kind of fell into was I thought I was going to be okay. The other thing about not having you come into his apartment, he's laughing. He goes, well, how many 19-year-olds want their mom at their apartment? And so it's not a personal, vendetta, but it's sort of like him trying to find his own way, trying to get his own independence. Did he deal with some depression prior to this?
Yeah, I think that he was upset about, yeah.
Because I feel like some other things were going on that he was trying to disconnect from or get away from. And not that that would have been the reason for his choices, but I almost feel like I need to disconnect. Is that regarding his father or friends or something?
I think it had to do with probably, he was upset about his relationship with his dad. He was upset. I think he and his girlfriend were trying to break up, but they were having a hard time letting go. And he also, one of the last things he said to me, he was saying, I kept saying, go to rehab. I want you to go to rehab. And he said, I'll go after my girlfriend goes back to college. And she was supposed to go back on the 11th. And that's when he overdosed that Friday night.
It's interesting. I don't feel like this was a suicide, though.
I don't think it was. And I've dealt with other people and they said it wasn't, but that was him. He was just very kind of reckless, loved to be like the kind of a show off, but loved. It was just, I used to say to him, you're a party looking for a place to happen, and it used to drive me nuts because he didn't take anything seriously. And I think he just didn't take anything seriously. He was constantly making a joke of everything. So
I think for him, there's parts of this that there's so many layers. Like I didn't see him having a lot of drugs. I don't feel like the overdose was an attempt to suicide. I feel like it's an escape, and it just went too far. Yeah. And the people that were with him didn't either take the responsibility or they were afraid. And for him, it was a go-to. I'm going to be okay. And I kept feeling like he felt he was invincible. That's the sense I get from him. Is like, I'm this guy, I'm this athlete. I've been through this. I'm going to be okay. I don't feel like his surgeries had his heart ever made him feel like he wasn't capable. what I get in his self-talk was, if I've gone through this, I can do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah, not realizing that, no, you still have limitations. There's still things that, that are difficult. He says that music is a big connection for you to get with him, to be able to hear from him. Is that something that you feel?
Yeah. Yeah. There's this song that I considered playing at his funeral, but it was so inappropriate. The lyrics were so inappropriate that I didn't want to. But it's this song by Lil Wayne called "Can't Be Broken," and then it's saying you cannot break down what can't be broken. And to me, that's saying that it was his spirit, and
100%.
and that comes up on my iPhone every time I plug my phone into my car. I mean, I know it's him. I know it's him.
Absolutely. And the chills I get, and that's where, it's this it's like the big guy on campus that makes everyone feel everything's okay, but deep down there's everything inside that was scary. But he did have, like you said, the visions, the dreams, the ideas, the passion, and he's also apologizing to you. He says you did everything you could to always take care of me and protect me. He was always first in your thoughts and what you wanted to do, and that he knows that you would have done anything to take care of him and provide for him. It's the sense that he didn't always. My feeling from him is, I didn't realize I was as fragile as I thought I was.
Okay, yeah. He used to do backflips on a snowboard and was just very fit, and I could see, which was just not anything that most people who have hypoplastic left heart syndrome are expected to do. I mean, he really kind of blew the doors off what we thought was possible for him.
I don't know why he's bringing this up, but this is sort of the wrap up, is I still want to learn to dance. Does that make any sense at all?
That's funny because that's been coming up in my presence a lot. Like, I want to learn to dance. Like, I want to, I don't know, I just find some adult dance class or something, you know what I mean? And I don't know why that's been coming up as a desire for me. I don't know.
I'm getting chills. So in my mind, he's listening to you, and that might bring some joy to go and dance and have those connections, and he will be there. So if he's telling me it's time to dance, he wants to learn to dance, that's because you're thinking about it. And so many times when parents have lost children, they don't allow themselves to have joy or do things that bring them joy. And so if he's bringing this up, he'll be there with you dancing.
Okay.
Does that make some sense? And I'm glad you figured that out, because I'm like, this is so freaking random here. What's this about? What are you taking away, sweetheart? And my heart, wow. I mean, this is a kid that I would have loved to sit next to and chat with, because I think he would have had an interesting topic. He would have asked questions. He would have been curious. And he had so much in his future. So what are you taking away today?
I'm glad that it wasn't a suicide. I mean, there's a really something that's been lingering, for me, like, and I know that it wasn't, I mean, my sense of it wasn't. I talked to other people who said that I'm not getting this. This was kind of like it was, he went too far and didn't realize he went too far until it was too late, which was totally his personality. It was taking it to the nth degree, and, it is hard to feel joy because, well, it's almost like a guilty feeling, like, and trying to couple the feeling joy with his remembrance, like we go snowboarding every year. Not every year. I mean, it's the past 2 years we've gone snowboarding since he's passed, and that I feel his presence there. So it's so strange. It's just very.
We're not designed. We're not designed to bury our children. So how do you continue?
Yeah, and I mean, I do a lot of. I've been doing a lot of like heart coherence meditations and things like that, and I feel him there. Like I don't know if it's, I can connect with them when I stay with my heart. Sometimes and it's when I get in my head that says, you're not allowed to have fun. You're not allowed to, you lost a child, or also like being successful at what I do or moving forward. That's where I feel like, no, you can't do that. You're too crushed.
This is why he's telling you to go dance. There's a song by Leanne Warmbeck that's about the song If We Could Dance. I'm going to encourage you to listen to that song.
Okay.
And if he's telling you to go dance and he'll dance with you, it's allowing you to know that it's okay to have joy. And that allows other people to know that it's okay. You're going to still miss him. It's still going to be hard and hurtful. But you're allowed to bring joy in and remember him for all those years he was here, even though he was a little stubborn. Okay. I appreciate you being so brave and being here today to share. And my heart hurts for you with the loss of your son. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deb. She definitely captured the spirit of who he was. He was very much gregarious and fun, and hundreds of people showed up to his wake, and a lot of kids said he was the first friend I ever made, or I was painfully shy and he brought me out of my shell. Or they would say things like, I was new in town and he was the first friend that I made. He was very, very outgoing. So the fact that she got that from him that was confirmation. I mean, she really captured the feeling that I really got was that, the circumstances of his passing, he overdosed and the kids didn't do anything about it until it was too late. The kids that he was with. She confirmed what I felt was that it wasn't on purpose. It was just, he took things a little too far. He was a little careless and a little reckless. That helped me to feel better too, that like it wasn't on purpose. He was just having a hard time with some stuff, and when he went to blow off steam, he just blew too much. There was a joke that we had that was really funny that Deb brought up, that she said, I don't know why he's bringing this up, but the Chipotle thing was really, he loved going to Chipotle. And the funny thing is that it always makes me laugh because when they first opened, we were living in a small town, and I said, well, I wonder what that Chipotle restaurant is. He started laughing and he goes, you mean Chipotle, Mom? So, so I was always mispronouncing things because my hearing loss, I don't hear things, I read them usually. So I'm always mispronouncing things because I read them before I usually hear them. So, but that was great. That was confirmation, but it was also confirmation in a way that he would do it. He would do it with humor. I couldn't stop obsessing about the past because I just couldn't see how I could have a happy future. And so when Deb was saying, I want to learn how to dance, I still want to learn how to dance, like that for me was really amazing, because that's been in my mind lately, like I gotta find a dance class. I really want to take the dance class, and I haven't done anything about it, but it almost feels frivolous sometimes. Like doing fun stuff can feel really frivolous and selfish when you're grieving. It's almost like you feel like you don't want to feel like you're leaving them behind. And what Deb was saying is that he wanted me to know that I could still feel joy and move forward in my healing. And that was one way that, that really surprised me. And I knew that it was him. I feel like the Chipotle joke and the dancing, it was definitely him, because nobody else would know that.
Thank you for watching Grieving to Believing. I'm in such gratitude that I can be that bridge between both realms so parents and families can know that their children are still with them. We hope that you subscribe to our show and that you share it with other parents that are looking for peace. Remember, even though our loved ones are on the other side, they are still by our side. I'm Deb Sheppard, and we'll see you next time.